Hello and welcome to the Center for Victory podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Here at Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through professional and personal development. My name is Zack DelTurco. I'm an executive consultant here at Center for Victory. And today we have back the one and only Eric Guy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for being back. And today we're going to be talking about Chapter 7 of your book.
Correct.
Achieving the Necessary Awareness.
That's right.
So let's go ahead and jump into that.
Okay.
Let's start with a very simple and obvious question. Why do we need awareness?
Okay. Simple fact, when you're not aware, you can't choose. A lot of people, I think we go through life, we said this back in chapter 6 about changing our language. You can't change your language until you become aware of what you're saying to yourself. You can't change your story unless you know what story you're operating from. So without awareness, you can't choose. Choice is a direct function of awareness. You can't cut a new path in your life. You can't cut a new groove in your life unless you change what it is that you become. I mean, really. That's one of the reasons we started this podcast, is just to create an awareness. So we call it Your Best Day Yet, because there's an ever developing piece inside of us that's always coming out, that we always need to become more and more aware of. And the greater awareness, the greater choices we can, and we can take responsibility for those choices as well.
Yeah, and I think for me, like that awareness piece, I thought I had it. I thought I was a self-aware person until I really started coming around this organization and I read your book. But really having proximity to you have helped me out tremendously. And it's like I'm playing in a different ball game now that I'm self-aware.
Yeah.
And I love, when we do our training, it's like in order to treat people equally, we need to treat people differently. Mm-hmm. Like I had no self-awareness of myself, and I had no self-awareness of other people. And because of just the impact that you have made, and especially through this book, it helped me take that journey to become more self-aware. So what's so different about awareness and choosing a different path?
I think that the difficulty around it that most people have is that the one big thing is we're addicted to drama. And we just, if you don't have a dramatic story, you're kind of weird. Kind of odd, and I said that in that kind of the first chapter of the book. It's difficult because we have to take responsibility, and with that responsibility comes a refinement period. And like I said in the earlier podcast on chapter 6 about changing your language, that refinement period can be painful sometimes, but that's part of the deal. That old saying, ignorance is bliss. I think there's a lot of truth to that with some people. If you just walk around ignorant and have drama in your life and don't take responsibility for anything, you don't have to be better.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like victim mentality, right?
Yeah, and I think we believe there's less effort to stay the same. There's pain in changing, and there's a smaller group of people around that, and there's more people you'll technically fit into the crowd by being more reactive and less aware.
Yeah. So how do you change? You talk about a different path. How do you choose or change to go to a different path?
I think the first thing, one, take responsibility, but the other thing is embrace change, embrace pain in your life. Right? We all go through pain. We all have stories. That's just like I heard somebody say that's just like, well, so what?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I'm not saying that in a way to belittle anybody. And we all have stories. I have my story. That's why I wrote the book. But there's part of it that some of that pain is that refinement period that we need to go through, so we're better on the other side. We can't do that unless we become aware and choose to write a different script, choose to go a different path, choose to hang out with different people, choose to be in a different group, as you say, choose to be at a different table. I mean, you really can't do that unless unless you just want to be mediocre, right? But if you want to live a victorious life, you have to do those things, and it starts with taking responsibility and going through a little bit of pain to get to the other side.
Yeah, and I hear you say this all the time. Is like there is real no limitations to your life if you take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you kind of mean by that?
Let me start with a quote from a great poet that I like, Rocky Balboa. Confucius? No, Rocky Balboa. I think it was Rocky 5 or 6 where he said, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And I really do believe there's no limitations. But we live, especially now, we live in a society that wants it now, right now, and sometimes I'm just as guilty as that. Yeah. It doesn't happen quick enough. But it going back to that, you have to have a little bit of pain. You have to get knocked around. And that's why I love that quote from Rocky in that movie, because he says that to his son. His son starts blaming him. He's like, hey, look, dude, I didn't do this to you. Mm-hmm. You're choosing to live this way, right? Take responsibility for yourself. I got news for you. Life's hard for you. It was hard for me. How do you think I got here? So, and he just kind of lays it out for him. He keeps the relationship there, but he says, that's how winning is done. Many people just want to show up, get rewarded, get a trophy, and move on. They don't want to go through the difficulty. If you look at people, and I'm thinking, off the top of my head right now, I read an email from a dear friend of mine over in the Cleveland area this morning. He sets a newsletter out, and he was very transparent in his newsletter, and this is just a man who's given all his life, and he shared even more of his struggles now that he's in his late 60s. But he shared his struggles with me. He's been very open about it. But I consider him a dear friend because he does that. But if you look at his life, you think, man, this guy's got it made. He's sold a couple companies for millions and millions and millions of dollars. He has it made. Well, what you don't see is all the hurt, all the depression, all the doubt, all the worry, all the knocks, the bangs, everything that he's gone through to get to that point. I always say, great people know great pain. And awareness only comes when you can embrace that pain. If you move away from it, you're never going to grow. And you can't really grow unless you go through that season of refinement. And that's why a lot of people just stay the same. That's why it's fine to be mediocre, why we say ignorance is bliss. But I know many people, the people that we talk to, that mediocre is not okay. Yeah. How do I get to the next level? It's really, if you want to get to the next level and you don't want to stay the same, start taking some responsibility for your life by becoming aware of the things that upset you, that trigger you, all those things. And we'll talk about it even more in the next podcast when we talk about the next chapter 8. So
yeah,
we'll go over it as well.
And I think, when you talk about just taking responsibility, I live my life that way because of this book. Mm-hmm. I tell my wife this all the time. We're going to have things thrown at us that aren't technically our responsibility or our fault. Mm-hmm. And when you take that ownership mentality, or you know what, let's own this and we're going to work through it. Mm-hmm. It changes your whole perspective. You go from being a whiner to being a shiner. You go from being somebody who is complaining about everything to say, you know what, I'm optimistic. Yeah. I'm not going to be pessimistic anymore. I'm choosing to change my language, right? And I'm choosing to become aware and owning things, because that's where true transformation happens. When you just say, you know what, I can do something about this. I can make an impact. So tell me a little bit, as we sum up, what are the 3 or 4 points that you want people to
out
get?
Of this chapter? Again, it's chapter 7 in the book. I would say become aware. First piece, take responsibility. Embrace the season or the pain to grow. That would be number 2. Number 3, as you're doing that, change the story, change the script, and refer back to chapter 6 in the book if you need more help with that. And remember, circumstances of your life might be unfortunate, but there's no reason to fail or quit. If you look at some of the great people in our society, are the people that have sometimes failed the most. I mean, there wouldn't be a Disney, there wouldn't be an Apple, there wouldn't be a Microsoft,
Yep.
there wouldn't be all these great things. And then finally, just to remember, as you said, we're all victors, and we're destined. That is our destiny, and we need to step into that and take responsibility for that.
I think an action plan for this is your dream must go on, and what are you doing about it today?
That's good. That's a great.
Not tomorrow.
Right.
What are you doing
something
about it
today?
today?
Absolutely, and I love, and I'll let you in, but I wanted to share a quote here from Martin Luther. It says, "If I allow pain to make me bitter, it blinds me to the truth of what God wants to do in my life."
Wow.
Right? So going back to your question, what are you going to do about it today?
Thank you so much for watching the Center for Victory podcast of Your Best Day Yet. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends and family. Also, you can go to centerforvictory.com to find us more information about us, or you can give us a call at 724-462-8383. And wherever you're at,
Whatever you're doing,
make this your best day yet.
See ya.